You're on, pal.
Oh, am I? Cheers. Hello, and welcome to ABW Live. How the devil are we all? Oh, God. Hey, we've had a win. What's going on? I'm not sure what to think. Well, it may not have been the greatest game in the history of football, but that's the first 3 points under Emery. How are we all? We all get okay? Here we go. Rudy Rastos, Nicky Wilson, Darren Hopkins, Tajeswi Rayo Ravipati, Denny Marshall, Stefan Selby, Joshua Page, Ahmed Nada, Auba 7, Stan the man 450. They're all there. How are we all? Tonight I'm joined by Dom and John. It's a shock, isn't it? Hi guys, how are we?
Back again.
Yeah, very good, mate. Out of the relegation battle, so cracking on. It's amazing. Not in that, not in that bottom. I don't know if we're in the bottom half of the table, but yeah, nice to finally get the win and a bit of pressure off the team, and I'm sure the players are feeling that now as well.
To be fair, I'll go straight to you on this, Dom. This was an important 3 points.
Huge. Yeah, I think so. After the Man City game, there wasn't too much to get excited about after that. The Chelsea game, we had a few moments, a few patches of some nice football for, a few minutes here and there. And I think for the players as well, I think they need, when they're changing the system so much, they almost need proof that, okay, yeah, look, this can work. It's not going to be the finished article after 3 games. It's probably not going to be the finished article by the end of the season. But one thing that you're going to need is buy-in. And if the performances don't go your way early, I think it's quite difficult to get the players to buy into what you're trying to do. So huge 3 points, I think.
Yeah, massive. Quick shout out. Sorry, guys. Adam Bellchamber. He's here for the first time. Welcome, Adam. Hope you're doing well. Hope you enjoy. Rudy Rastlos, I know you're there. You're always there, to be fair to you, pal. Yeah, I don't think we can emphasize the importance of this enough, because regardless of it being a new manager, regardless of it being a new tactical setup, regardless of people saying, you got to give him a year and all this business, the longer you go without that first 3 points, the more the internal pressure builds, the more the yips come in. John, I think, that was plain to see in our performance today as well.
Yeah, you could see nervousness in the game, especially at the back. Again, with the passing out from the back, the crowd as well were nervous whenever we did it. But once we got that equaliser, the confidence levels went up, like in the Chelsea game as well, when we got that first goal and then came back into it. So you can see it's still the players getting used to the system, the way the manager wants them to play now. Some new guys in the team as well, maybe not used to the league, that kind of thing. So there's going to be teething problems. So yeah, it might not be pretty viewing for the first, 6 months maybe, but as long as we get the results, that's the main thing. But it's going to take time, regardless of the opposition. We were helped a little bit by the fact it was West Ham today and not another team. But I think that shows the positives from the previous games as well, that, when you're playing against the very best, you're going to get punished. But, there's not as many teams quite at that tier in this league, thankfully.
Absolutely. Daz316, I'm not going to ignore you. I do apologise. You were first in the chat. It's just a busy day, mate. Dom, let's go straight to lineups. The only thing to talk about is no Ozil.
Yeah, apparently he was sick. His immune system seems to be a big topic of conversation, doesn't it? At the end of last season, he was actually struggling with an injury, almost missed the World Cup. So I think there's an element. If he's gonna be trying to dodge games, he would have been dodging the City Chelsea games, and he would have been turning up today. So I genuinely probably think that he was probably just sick.
But does he have the immune system of a 4-year-old?
Probably, yeah.
Cool. Okay, John, the game started off. It just looked like 2 bad teams.
Jace, just quickly, sorry, before we jump into the game, I wanted to ask you actually, because you had very strong opinions after the last 2 games. Xhaka starting today. Again, were you?
That's definitely a topic of conversation for people.
My
Okay.
timeline was like going not quite Arsene Wenger levels era of insane and exploding with some of the decisions that he made, but it wasn't far off because people were not happy to see Xhaka starting on the pitch today. They all wanted Torreira pretty much. It was almost unanimous.
Okay, but let's be honest now. In the last couple of shows, I've been really critical of Xhaka, okay? Because I know he can do better, right? Maybe the setup of the previous two games hasn't suited him. But what I saw from Torreira last week was absolutely no better than Xhaka. And for anybody to kid themselves that it was, they're having a laugh, okay? I'm a bit sick and tired of this. I'm sorry, but I'm going to say it, Arsenal fan mentality of, he's not my favourite player, so he's shit. Look at the contribution on the pitch. Xhaka was awful last week. Terrible. But so was Torreira, okay? Everybody's bedding into a new system. You call it the way you see it. But, at the moment, we just got to go with what the manager wants. There's no way of getting around it. And thankfully today, in that, when we played a 3 in the middle, Xhaka's come up trumps. He had a very good game today. It was enjoyable watching him play the way we know he can play. But let's not make out that Guendouzi or Torreira are the second coming of Jesus, because they're not.
I know this is obviously before we get into the game, but do you think there's, we've got Mohamed El-Neni, who towards the back end of last season, he's not one of my favourite kind of players. I think he's quite not average, but he doesn't do too much with the ball. He's not overly positive with it. He's quite safe. But he's certainly an option in midfield who hasn't been picked yet. He's only got on the bench a couple of times. If Torreira is playing as bad as you say, as he did in the few little substitution games he made, and Xhaka has been as awful as everyone has said he is. I mean, he's been slated by absolutely everyone, even his biggest fans. Why is El-Neni not coming in?
I don't think El-Neni's a squad player. I don't think he's got the passing range that that Emery wants. I think if you look at El-Neni, I think he's a nice, safe option to have coming in off the bench, or we get injury problems, or when you're in the Europa Cup. He's never going to set the world alight, but he's a good, solid player to have around. There is a difference in quality between our starters and the guys who come into the team. I think, if you look at Jack Wilshere's performance in the West Ham shirt today, you see that. You see why players are in this squad and why others aren't. El-Neni will give you up and down all game, and that's great. And we may need to use him going on into the season. He's not going to create much for you. You look at the guys who contribute. Okay, Xhaka's had a tough time. Does he deserve a chance to, redeem himself? Yeah, I think he does. I don't think he's his first 2 performances of the season were putrid. They were horrendous. But as a team, we were no better. We were no better as a team. So you've got to give this team time to gel, and that's what the manager's going to do. And good luck to him.
Yeah, I think it just kind of underlines that we don't get to see the players in training, get to see everything they're doing, and know exactly what the manager wants on the pitch.
Look, John, sorry, I'm going to interrupt you here now. Let's be straight, okay? Look at the guys who've contributed to this team over the last couple of seasons, who've actually contributed week in, week out, right? Who've actually made a difference. And can you honestly say that El-Neni is one of those guys?
I think towards the back end of last season, he was one of our best players. Which, don't get me wrong, that's not saying a lot, because we were very, very poor last season.
But what did he create? What did he contribute? He was a solid citizen, yeah, and no more than that. Whereas
I'm not arguing for him to be in the team. I actually think Xhaka brings a lot to our game, but I'm just looking at it from the other side. Everyone was so against Xhaka playing today. They all wanted Torreira. You made some good points about why maybe starting him wasn't the best idea, because he hasn't had the best start in the few times he's come off the bench. And we've got a guy in El-Neni who knows the league. He's pretty experienced. This isn't the toughest game in the world today, in theory, against West Ham, although we did make it look like that at times. And he was one of our better players towards the end of last season. I just think it's just interesting that he's still not getting in the side.
He was, but look, you know, you put it this way now, okay? Right? I like El Nene, I like Xhaka. Right? I was so disappointed in Xhaka the first 2 games. But when you then look at El Nene and Torreira, these are players you really want to develop. So you're going to have to give them game time to develop them, to bring them into the squad so they can contribute. You know, it's all about contribution. I mean, Dom, you know, you know, with AFL and football and other sports, unless you're contributing to a high level and, you know, you're making things happen on the pitch, you're not going to get a game, are you? But being a solid citizen coming into the squad is always good to have.
Yeah, you definitely need those guys that you can rely on. You know, there's a big difference between bringing on an El Neni versus bringing on an Emmanuel Frimpong from a few years ago. You know, like that's the kind of difference that we do need. And at the end of the day, you know, there's only potentially 3 proper midfield spots up for grabs at any one time on the pitch. You can't have, unless you're Manchester City or one of these really rich clubs, we're not going to have 6 first-team players all vying for the 3 spots. It causes too many issues off the pitch too. So, you know, I'm not a huge El Neni fan either, but I kind of understand exactly what you're saying. You know, he's not got the resume to back it up coming into the league to then warrant a starting position. But John's absolutely right. You know, if you're not contributing in training enough to then warrant pushing for a starting role, that's why there's rumours of El Neni being told that he's probably surplus to requirements. If he's not in the manager's plans or the manager doesn't think that he brings anything to his system, then you're absolutely right. If he's not, he's just not going to get a gig. And that's potentially why Xhaka is getting picked, even though I would have been one of the people saying that we could have probably started Torreira over Xhaka today based off the last 2 games. But, you know, when a lot of people were talking about the Gary Neville clip where he was talking about Emery sticking to his guns and how important that was, and not to be listening to the outside pressure, because at the end of the day, that's what we are. We're noise, and it can be a distraction, and we're very emotional, and we're going to be calling for players to get sold after 45 minutes of poor football. And that's not what Emery's going to do, whether we like it or not. You know, everyone's an armchair expert. That's what we're here talking about. But he obviously saw something in Xhaka or believes that he is a person that will contribute, and that is going to be somebody that he can rely on. And today he did improve. And that's all you can ask. You know, Xhaka's not going home after Chelsea and City thinking that he's played well and being confused as to why he's getting so much grief. He's going to be the first person to recognise that he's played poorly. So still, I don't know. I don't think Torreira has been as poor as you've made him out to be, Jason, in the minutes that he's played.
I thought last week he was a car crash. Okay,
last week he wasn't. City he was quite good. I thought he was really quite good against City and really tightened us up.
I didn't say he wasn't good against City, but I thought against Chelsea he was a car crash. He came on, the game was quick. He couldn't get up to speed quickly, and that's not being harsh on him. That's just a fact.
Oh no, he wasn't up to it. It's just like when Guendouzi today, I'm sure we'll get onto him as well, did not have his best game. And again, this is exactly what we're talking about when I'm going back to the Gary Neville situation. You know, I'm on the Guendouzi bandwagon. I've bought the hype. I'm excited about the kid. I think he's the next big thing too. And that's the issue, is that we jump on this so quickly, then the poor kid's got no hope, because as soon as he does have a bad game or two, we want to throw him out. And
but this is my point. Okay, mate. You know, these guys, you've got to give them time to settle, okay? It's not, you know, Guendouzi's 19, Torreira's 21, okay? Even if you go to Meza, to Xhaka, Mkhitaryan, Ramsey, okay? They're playing a new tactical system at the moment, okay? When obviously on today's performance, we're nowhere near up to speed.
But how long do you, realistically, how long do you guys think it's going to take this set of players to start to gel? Because you see it in little moments. Against Chelsea, we had 5-10 minutes where you thought, okay, yeah, there is something there that we can work on. And to me, personally, I thought, you know, to see that against a good Chelsea side in the second game, I thought was a very positive thing. And I feel like I'm alone on that. I feel like everybody's already deciding that, this playing out from the back thing's ridiculous, or, this player's no good. And I think Hector Bellerin's a bit of a victim of a little bit of that at the moment, because defensively he was awful today.
Yeah, but this is the problem. We spoke
But
about
I feel like he's really struggling to find his balance in his role, because I've got a funny feeling that he's been told that he is going to be somebody that we rely on to create the width going forward and being an attacking threat. So he has to balance that with not being caught out of position defensively, with someone potentially like a Mkhitaryan not getting back to help, or Xhaka and Guendouzi not being athletic enough to get over and cover. So all of these little things are going to take so much more time to gel. I want to know from you guys, how long do you realistically give it before you can start to go, okay, Bellerin's not going to be able to cut it? Or Guendouzi is the second coming of Jesus. When can we start forming some opinions that you feel confident are going to be opinions that are going to last for more than 90 minutes?
Okay, go to John on that first.
I mean, it depends on the player. You look at Hector today, who was Jekyll and Hyde in terms of defensively. His first touch, his positioning and stuff was quite poor. But I don't think that's down to him being a bad defender. I think that's down to a new system. He's got Mkhitaryan in front of him today, who didn't really help him that much. But you look at his forward play and the goals he created, and the fact he did give us the only width we had and really stretched West Ham, is the huge positive of it. So I think you look at Bellerin and go, well, you've been in the side for quite a while. Defensively, the basic things you should already have down. New manager, okay, so we give you a little bit of time there. But the fact it's a brand new system, you've got someone playing in front of you. You're not really used to playing with who, to be frankly honest, with Mkhitaryan really isn't defensively switched on at all. So you have to look at him and say, well, 12 games down the line, is it Hector's fault that goals are coming from that position and that side of the pitch? Or is it actually the people around him not doing their job properly and he's doing everything perfectly, but they're just not, everyone else isn't understanding the system, and it's easy to pick out Hector for his faults. Whereas you look at someone like Guendouzi, and I would say you shouldn't really judge him at all this year. If he makes mistakes, yeah, you call him out on it. Like today, he went in for a slide tackle and completely missed it, and he's caught high up the pitch, and West Ham get breaking us, things like that. You can pick him out for those kind of things, but then you have to counter it with, well, he's 19 years old, he's just come from League Two to the Premier League, give him his first season, that kind of thing. So I think it depends on the age experience of the player and how long they've maybe been in the league or a league of that level, before you can make those kind of judgments on them. But someone like Hector should be, 12, 14 games into the season under Emery with the new system in place, should be understanding it and getting all the basics and everything else correct. But it shouldn't be forgot today that he really wasn't helped at all by Mkhitaryan in front of him.
Our full-backs aren't being helped at all by the people in front of them. I don't think it will be help. I mean, it will be at a great challenge back on Jack at one point, but I don't think he helped Nacho at all. Okay, so you have to understand that Emery is getting all his width from the full-backs. These guys are being asked to get through a tremendous amount of work and to get back and help out the centre-backs. Mustafi's not got great pace, and regardless of what Instagram posts tell you, Socrates has not got pace, okay? So we're struggling there. So whoever's playing that holding role is going to drop into the centre-backs to help them out. Unfortunately, we haven't got great pace in that midfield to be able to do that. So we're finding our way there. For somebody like Hector, he needs to improve on his defensive side of his game. There's no getting away from that, okay? So he's got to work on that. And I'm sure Emery and the coaching staff will be working with him to improve that side of his game. Okay? Mr. Kennedy, he's slow. Watch the games. He's slow. Okay? I'm sorry, but he's terrible in that respect. Okay? But this is the thing. I would expect to see an improvement in our cohesion in the way we play and, in the tempo of our passing, the way we play out of the back after this set of 8 games we've got coming up. There are the easier fixtures of the Premier League coming up. So this is the time where we get things right. It's not going to be perfect after these 8 games, but it is going to improve. And that's where we're going to start to see ourselves kick on. You know, I mean, today is one of those games where it wasn't brilliant. You know, some of our defending was Coco the Clown stuff. It was embarrassing. Some of our attacking play was very good, but too many guys are slightly off where they should be. And that makes a big difference in the Premier League. So, you know, we're getting there. If you look at Aubameyang didn't have a great game today. You know, Mkhitaryan didn't have a great game today. You know, Ramsey, good things, bad things. It will be nice touches, no end product. It's a strange setup at the moment, but this upcoming 8 games is going to be the tail of the tape to see where we can go from. So in any case, on to the game. Arnautovic had a couple of chances. We had a couple of chances. And then we conceded a goal, John. Arnautovic again.
Yeah, I mean, he'd been troubling the team throughout the whole game, really. We're playing this high line, which fits with the system because when you know, we're at home, we've got a lot of possession. So we're not pressing quite as much today just because we've got the ball so much. But when we did it high up and tried to win it back in the, you know, around their edge of the box to try and cause problems. But that line in behind and just the ball over the top all the time, you know, it caused us real problems. And I was pleased when he went off today. But it was just kind of, I'm not really sure what the defenders were doing. Bellerin was out of position. Mustafi gets dragged out. It's a little 1-2 with, is it Felipe Anderson? I think he does it with. He gets the shot off. Socrates is doubling up with Bellerin, you know, to help him cover and come across to block the shot. And so then he's pulled out of position. So it's a nice little 1-2 move from West Ham, but just the fact that they could bring the ball that far forward, Felipe Anderson with the ball, run it that far forward, and then Arnautovic gets the shot off, which I think Cech could probably do better with. I don't want to be harsh on Cech because I think in the first 2 games, despite the goals we conceded, he's actually done very well and, you know, kept the score down in most of them. But he just felt like he went to ground a little bit slow for that shot. And I felt like he could have maybe got across a little bit quicker. You know, it wasn't like Arnautovic absolutely levered the ball. You know, it wasn't a P roller, but he didn't really exactly hit it with that much pace, and it wasn't bang in the corner either. I don't know. I just sometimes I look at Cech and I think if it's him of a couple of years ago, maybe he gets down to that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. But I remember saying last week with these types of goals that you can analyze, you know, all day. And the main reason that you concede goals like that is because there's a consecutive errors. You know, one error turns into 2, which turns into 3, and then you score a goal. You can usually get away with one mistake. You know, and if the mistake came from the centre backs and then Petr Cech doesn't make a mistake, he saves that, and then you're all good. You know, like that's a team sport, right? You know, that's essentially why we love playing it and watching it, is that you've got teammates to kind of help out. But if 2 or 3 of you make a mistake in a row, that's usually what's going to get you undone. And you could go all the way back, like you said, to the fact that that wasn't a one-off, though, was it? You know, like the way that they were able to get the ball from their defence and transition through to, and again about last week, defending, running back towards your goal would have to be one of the most difficult things as a footballer to be doing, regardless of how good you are. And this is the thing, you know, I'm not huge on Mustafi and Socrates as our centre back pairing. They're definitely not my favourite in recent years, that's for sure. But at the same time, I don't think there are that many defenders in the world that aren't going to make mistakes when they're constantly sprinting back towards their own goal, trying to look over their shoulder to track runners, not knowing whether to, you know, go and intercept because they don't know if Bellerin or Monreal's got back, or it must just be absolute chaos being a defender at the moment. And I'm not sure if that's a system thing that Emery's putting in place. And this is what I mean, you know, I'm not smart enough as a football, you know, armchair expert to analyze that and understand what is actually going on or where the mistakes are, or if that's just something that Emery's doing and that's just how it's going to be. If it is, then that's really worrying.
I think it's a great point. And one thing I was going to ask you two guys, there was no sense of a press today. and there was absolutely zero pressure from our midfield when they were on the break. They were just, there were no challenges coming in almost, right?
Yeah.
And that was really concerning today. You had zero press, you had zero pressure on the ball at any point when West Ham were in possession, and the way they were able to run 20, 30 yards without actually being challenged was a bit of a joke. I mean, John, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think that part of that comes down to us having the ball so much in the game. I think first half we were like 65%, and then second half it went up to like 75, nearly that. So on the times we did press, it was generally the front players, like Ramsey, Mkhitaryan, Aubameyang, Lacazette when he came on, and when we won it there, it was fine, and that was good. But then the midfield behind in Guendouzi, Xhaka, and even Torreira as well when he came on, they weren't pressing in the gap or following up behind, and I don't know if that's something that Emery has told them to do, or if it's the midfielder failing to follow up with the press, or if he's saying to them, well, hang on a minute, actually, we are getting caught out a little bit over the top here, and we have done in the previous games. If you guys sit a little bit deeper, then, maybe if they do manage to play out through our press for our forward players, then at least the midfield's there to cover. The problem is that then it creates that gap that they have that room to move into. And if one of our midfielders is caught hard at the pitch, then you've only got one midfielder basically trying to cover across the fullbacks and the two centre halves. But yeah, Anderson today, Snodgrass as well, Antonio. They all had a lot of time to run at our defence, and especially in the fullback areas because Bellerin, Hector in particular, was pushed very, very high up the pitch. Monreal got caught a few times as well, but he wasn't getting as high. But again, that's when you've got that, the midfielders have got to come across and cover that space, and the guys in front of the fullbacks have also got to be aware and drop back in. But this is going to be an issue going forwards for, until it's fixed and they all understand the system probably. If you play that high line, you are going to be very susceptible to counters. That's likely what we're going to experience for most of the home games anyway this season, because we generally tend to have all of the ball at home as it is. And until we get that pressing from our forwards sort of perfected, where we try and win the ball back very quickly high up the pitch. I think it's like the thing that Pep used to do at Barcelona. It looked like they were doing that today. That kind of 5-6 seconds press to get the ball as a forward. If you don't win it quickly, then drop back in and like try and secure your position again. But not everyone was doing it. People were out of position at times. Not everyone was getting it right, or hitting their triggers and that kind of thing. And it's all learning. Thankfully, it's against West Ham today, who didn't punish us. We saw in the Chelsea and Man City game, you get punished because they're a better team, they've got better finishes, that kind of thing. So it's all a learning process. And also, it's like Don said before, partnerships. Socrates and Mustafi play 3 games together now?
Yeah.
That's early days. Xhaka and Guendouzi,
I think you combine with that, mate. Combined with that, we were playing a 4-3-3 today. As opposed to 4-2-3-1, that doesn't help either, does it?
Yeah. So, John, would it be fair to say that this pressing game that Emery is, it looks like we're trying to do, high risk, high reward, and difficult to implement?
Oh yeah. I mean, if you've played essentially under Arsene, that sort of, I don't know, what was it? It's kind of like that horseshoe possession. You just go around, keep the ball, do that kind of thing, and as far as we're aware, at least anyway, defensively, the responsibilities aren't always there. Then you got a guy who comes in and gives you all these details, so much more detail than you maybe ever had before, with the exception of maybe players who've come from other clubs, like new ones in this season. It's totally new to your system. And like you said it before, Dom, you look at Pep, came in at Man City, had an amazing squad. He had some ridiculously good players. And people were laughing at him, laughing at Claudio Bravo, who was this is a Barcelona goalkeeper, for mistakes for passing it out from the back and getting caught in possession, and John Stones making mistakes at the back and all this kind of thing.
Well, the media were hammering Pep halfway through the season.
And now you look at the second season he's in, then it's totally different, and they dominate the league. They wipe teams away. John Stones is like amazing defending, and and obviously fantastic result today for Wolves. Well done getting a point. But those things take time. And if you look at the difference in resources, the difference in quality of players, difference in coach, I don't know how good a coach is Emery is in comparison to Pep, for example, but just the stature of the players and the quality of the players, we're nowhere near Man City's level, and we're not doing exactly the same thing as them. But it's totally new system, you know. But I do think there are games where he will choose to press and other ones where he won't. And today we didn't really do it that much. And maybe that is just a conscious decision of we're going to have a lot of the ball. We're at home. We'll be in possession a lot. We should be able to turn it over easier, you know, that kind of thing. Because there were a couple of times when the midfield did it, like Guendouzi put in a couple of good tackles, won it quickly, released it quick, and we didn't do enough with it. Xhaka did as well. Ramsey, you know, even Mkhitaryan did. But it's not always going to come off.
And if one person doesn't get it right, that's where good teams punish you, because you're going to leave a man free and then it sets them off. That's the big thing that I've noticed anyway, is that West Ham didn't quite have the quality to put the ball away, whereas the Cities and the Chelseas, as you're learning and as you realise, you cannot be the guy that doesn't do their role, whatever it is defensively, whether it's press or cover space or whatever you're supposed to be doing. If you don't, you will get exposed in this system. However, if everybody does get on the same wavelength, it can be devastating at the same time. Yeah,
and you look at West Ham as well today. They had a lot of runners. Felipe Anderson, a little bit featherweight maybe for the league. He was very good in Serie A, but he's very good when he gets the ball at his feet and you give him time. He'll run at you. Snodgrass, not the best quality player, but he will run and run and run all day. And Mikel Antonio is rapid. And he's also, I don't know how he runs that fast when he looks like he's about 30 stone of pure muscle.
He's a big lad, isn't he?
He's an absolute monster, you know, and he gave Bellerin a really, really tough time. And he'll do that to fullbacks all season in the Premier League. He's not the most, you know, technically gifted or skillful, but he will run you ragged all day long. So that's you know, going to cause you problems. And when you leave that much space in behind, that's an easy thing to exploit, you know. So you've got to weigh all those things up.
Look, I think, you know, one of the things we saw today was we were able to counter ourselves. There was a great counter-attack, Mkhitaryan to Aubameyang to Ramsey. Ramsey shoots, and there's a fantastic block from Fredericks. Fredericks showed some real gas today. I thought, you know, that was just fantastic from that guy. You know, it was a hell of a challenge. The yardage he made up. So, you know, as much as we suffer from that, we're able to do it on occasion, though we were letting ourselves down. I thought Aubameyang he struggled today. Nothing much came off for him. But then we had the Monreal goal. And this is, you know, Hector, good work on the right-hand side. Cross in, everybody misses it, though apparently Iwobi's been given the assist. Did it come off his backside? I don't know. But Monreal, a great finish. Talk me through it, Dom.
Yeah, he's got a happy knack of popping up in those spots. Even last season, you know, he scored a lot of very important goals too. And today, getting back into it that quickly, and after last week with some of the missed chances that we were having when we did go forward, I think it was really important that our first, you know, really good opportunity like that wasn't wasted, and we got back into it quickly. And, you know, a little bit of confidence in the team went a long way. But yeah, I mean, you know, going back to the Bellerin down that right-hand side, as much as, you know, defensively he's like we said, you know, there's probably a little bit of him needing to get better defensively, and there's a little bit of the team needing to maybe understand that he's been told that he's going to be an attacking outlet for us, and if he's doing that, he's going to need some help. You know, you can't expect him to get all the way up and be putting these crosses in and creating some danger, because he did it against Chelsea too. A lot of our really good opportunities, the two skies over the bar and the Iwobi goal, all came from Hector Bellerin's side getting into those areas. So it seems to me like it's something that is going to be asked of him. And if you're going to ask someone to get that far forward, if the ball does get cut out and you get countered, we know that Hector's got great pace, but does the team expect him to be sprinting the whole length of the pitch to get back, or would it not be more acceptable for maybe a Mkhitaryan to see that he's going forward and to drop into that space? So I really liked him going forward today. I think offensively last season he didn't really give us much, and defensively he wasn't really performing either. So already this season I can see a little bit of his game has developed. Obviously, as a defender, you want to see the defensive side developing as well. But yeah, I mean, Monreal, he's like I said, happy knack of putting those chances away, which is at that point of the game an extremely important one to make sure he put in the back of the net.
Yeah, it's at that point, because after the Arnautovic goal, oh God, I felt I was about to hit the bottle. It was that bad. I was going to do a Jason Schrader, just get screwed up and what the hell. But we responded well, John.
That's what, 5 minutes after the goal was conceded again.
Yeah.
So again, like the Chelsea game, good response. There's clearly a decent buzz around the team, and they've got that belief that I think they are buying into this. From everything you read and you see their social media accounts and everything else, they seem to be buying into this. The new style and everything, and the work, and a lot of them are all saying, you see on their Instagram or Snapchat or whatever, back to work. We've got to work on this. We've got to work on that. It's a different kind of sounding message you're getting out the players individually.
I'm very, very, very wary of social media comments from players. Okay, because it's just sound bites. I know.
Oh, of course, I know.
Look, for me, a player does his talking on the pitch. There's no excuse for Henrik Mkhitaryan not to be covering back on Hector Bellerin, which he hasn't done this season. Okay, there's no excuse for some of the open goal misses that we made last week. You can see some of the performances. We're trying different things. What I want to see from them is not comment on social media. It's effort on the pitch. And if we're doing that and it doesn't go well, fair enough, okay? I just think we need to see a little bit more on the pitch at times. That's the one thing I do worry about. But let's go on. We had a few shots. Fabianski, ex-Arsenal, he had a good game today, didn't he?
Yeah, he's a decent keeper. I think he always has been. He was good at Arsenal, I thought. He had his moments. I know me an Arsenal keeper who hasn't. Let's be fair about it. But yeah, he was always a good prospect, and I think like a lot of the Arsenal keepers of that, the 20-odd years under Arsene, they're all decent shot stoppers. They all had that ability. I mean, the one in particular, there was two. There was one from a Lacazette effort at the near post he got down really well for, and then one from Ramsey late on where it went through like 10 bodies and he saw it really late. It was amazing, and really strong hand on it, bent round the post. So yeah, I'm always pleased when certain ex-Arsenal players do well and go on to have a good career, because not that he's one who got away. I always thought he maybe could have been a little bit better than he was. And maybe, with different coaching, that kind of thing, that would have happened with him. But yeah, he made some very good saves today that, maybe the scoreline would have been a little bit higher. I think, to be honest, if it was more than 3-1, it probably would have flattered us a little.
I think he made two great saves. There's one from Ramsey, second half, and maybe in Ramsey as well, first half, that he made a great save on. Mustafi, in second half as well, as a great save. He did very well for them today, and I think it could have been 5 or 6, but he kept them in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, there are two other things in this first half I want to talk about. I'm going to come to you, Dom. Diop studs up on Aubameyang. It all happened very quickly, in all fairness to the referee. This happened really quickly. So the referee gave him a yellow card, but should it have been a red?
When I saw the replay, I remember writing in our little WhatsApp group, because I'm not the rules book, stickler. John's the guy that knows that stuff inside and out, and the even with the rule book, it's the letter of the law, but it's always up to the referee's interpretation, isn't it? Whether he deemed it to be an aggressive tackle or intent or whatever else these other words bandied about. But I think you said it perfectly. If VAR was in place, that's a red card. When you see, looking back on it, and yes, when you slow motion things, it always looks a little more sinister than in full speed. But I can't see an argument from his end as to why he needed to have his foot that high in the air. That, to be honest, that something like that with Aubameyang's pace, He's very lucky that he didn't do serious damage, and that could have easily been a broken leg, easily.
Yeah, John, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think if you get the benefit of the replay and everything else, and you see it, then you call it as a red card, because it's dangerous play. When I saw it in real time, I just thought Aubameyang's just quicker than him. Diop's tried to nick the ball, and and he's like Aubameyang's dropped a shoulder or knocked it round him or whatever, which I think is why the ref's giving the yellow in the end. I'm not gonna give the ref stick for that, because if any of us, I think, or majority of people would, if they saw that in real time, they're on the pitch, they'd probably give a yellow card for it. They don't think it's a red; they just think it's a missed time challenge. I didn't realise how high up how high up his leg it was until we saw the replay. One of those things, yeah, like you said, if you got VAR, then if that's one of those, I don't know what the rule is on VAR for if it's a serious incident that's not seen by the referee, I think is how they word it. Then maybe it's a red. But you got an own goal for us, so maybe a bit of justice there.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm the first one to have a pop at the referee, but I didn't think much of his performance there. I thought it was bitty. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good. It was. I think actually the game affected his performance. The referees, the game was worse than his performance for sure. But that did happen really quickly. For him to be able to say, "Oh, that's definite red," it was almost impossible. But I thought he handled it quite well, to be fair. But
yeah, you got to look from the referee's point of view. At no point does a referee really want to give a red card, because it can absolutely kill a game and ruin experience for fans and for people watching.
They've got to give one when it's due.
Oh, of course. But it's the last thing they want to do, and the way they do it is you only give the red if you're 100% certain.
I think if he sees that in slow motion, he gives a red. But the pace it happened at was just like, stick with you, John. Then back to Dom on this. There's a Snodgrass chance at the end of the first half. I got to be honest with you. I'm thinking send in the clowns. Our defending was utterly incompetent. Thankfully, Snodgrass misses. But at that point, I'm just, it's car crash TV. I'm looking at the game and my hands in front of my eyes through my fingers. It's just rubbish. It was just rubbish defending. Talk me through it.
Yeah, Monreal got spun by him a couple of times in the game. The back line, it's funny because Hector was offside at the one end of the pitch, and and was frustrating in the first half, but obviously did create the assist. But he was also playing people on side a lot at our end. Monreal's getting done. He's not getting any help from Iwobi, just like Hector the other side isn't really getting any help from Mkhitaryan. Socrates doesn't know where to go. Is he tracking the runner? I think Xhaka and Guendouzi at that time they're not quite sure which one of them is picking up Anderson as well, who was causing a lot of problems floating in between the defence and the midfield. And again, thankfully, he doesn't finish. It wasn't looking promising. I'll be honest, going into the fact that we were 1-1, I was very happy, but I just thought, wow, this is going to be really, really difficult. Arnautovic was just pinning off our centre backs, and the gap between the centre backs and then out to the full backs just seemed to be huge. And either Bellerin was caught very, very high up the pitch, or Monreal was, and Xhaka and Guendouzi weren't quite in the correct positions to pick them out. And West Ham were gambling a little bit because they were leaving Snodgrass and Arnautovic quite high up at times. They weren't always covering their own fullbacks, but it was working for them because they were able to exploit that space. And the worst thing as a defender is when you're 1-on-1, with any sort of tricky winger or forward with a bit of strength. But we were way too square too many times as well. Our defenders were very, very square onto the ball at times, which caused us way too many problems. But thankfully, he missed, and there definitely needed to be some sort of tightening up. I thought in the second half, and also the ball wasn't really sticking up front a lot. I felt, Aubameyang really wasn't brought into the game very much at all. He ended up dropping deep to try and get involved in it, and it's one of those weird things when I thought, oh, wouldn't it be nice if we had Giroud? Do you know what I mean? Just sometimes, because I didn't think of it as Lacazette that way because he does hold the ball up very well. But my brain just instantly went, oh, Giroud, because you see Arnautovic and the way he's holding the ball up and bringing others into play for West Ham. So your mind jumps to a similar physically built player, because some of our passing on our breaks and stuff were good when we won it back up high, but it either wasn't getting to Aubameyang, or players were being caught offside, or the final ball wasn't quite there.
To be fair, Aubameyang was played in a couple of times and didn't make the most of it.
Yeah.
Let's not paper over the cracks. Aubameyang's had 3 bang average games so far. Okay, you can't polish a turd, right? And so far he's not delivered this season. It will come for him. But
the thing with Aubameyang compared to some of our other players is the resume that guy brings. You know that strikers can sometimes have 2 or 3 bad games and things don't quite stick, and then all of a sudden he can score 10 goals in 10 games, and he's done that before. So if people are wondering why we're not giving him the same amount of grief as some of the other players that we can be a little critical of, he's kind of earned that, hasn't he, Jace?
I think as well, if you look at, people having a pop at Hector, people having a pop at Ramsey there, people having a pop at Aubameyang. The difference is these guys keep on working hard. Okay, I didn't see that from Xhaka the last 2 games. I did today. But these guys keep on working hard. They keep on doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're asked to play in a system. Aubameyang keeps on hitting those spaces. He keeps on dropping deep when he's not getting the ball to try to get it, and he keeps on having a go. And whenever you play in any sport in a new tactical setup, it's going to take you a little bit of time to settle in. It just doesn't happen like that. We keep on referring to Pep at City. It takes time for guys to get used to things, but what's encouraging, a la the Chelsea game, is that if you keep on doing the right things at the right times, eventually it will come off. Do you know what I mean? And when you look at Hector Bellerin, Hector's still a young man. Aubameyang has a body of work he can call on. How many goals? Ramsey, Arsenal's top scoring central midfielder ever. These guys have a body of work. When Dave in Colchester is sitting on his computer, who's never kicked the ball, calls one of them shit, they turn around and they say, look at the record books. There's this sort of thing which you've got to look at, okay? These guys will come good, because if they don't, it's on Emery. Make no bones about it. It's on the coach then. In the same way as ARSWHU was responsible under his tenureship, in his stewardship, it's now Emery's responsibility to get the most out of these guys. And if they can't play what he wants them to play, he's got to sell these players and get in players who can play this game. And it's as simple as that, really. But, as long as they're still working hard, that's the main thing. If players lose interest and don't put the effort in, then you've got a problem. Second half, guys, Lacazette for Iwobi. Dom, to you on this. Did Iwobi deserve to get hooked?
I think the reason Iwobi probably came off is purely because Aubameyang can do the left-hand side. I don't think Mkhitaryan was any better than Iwobi. I don't think Iwobi was terribly poor today. Like we've mentioned a bunch of times, Jay, so Iwobi can do these really, really nice things, wiggle out of trouble, and he did that a few times, cutting in today, danced around a few defenders, and then just completely misplaces the final ball. And if he can get that part of his game right more times than not, there's a player there for sure. I can understand why people say that. They're very defensive with Iwobi because of those things, and you can see that in there. And it's like you said, it's up to Emery and the coaches and Iwobi himself to start finishing those little moments. Because if he was today, I felt that he was a little bit more involved than Mkhitaryan was. But I think purely just positionally, obviously, Emery saw something that he wanted to change, and this has been a bit of a topic of discussion for a long time with ARSWHU, of not making those types of changes early in games like that. And I think that it was a very smart move because, as you were saying, John was saying earlier about not being able to hold the ball up if we needed to. And we saw a change in that instantly when Lacazette came on, is that he's very good at link-up play. He's very good at bringing other players in, but he can also hold on to the ball. And Aubameyang obviously is not that kind of striker, which is why it's great to have the two of them, because they are quite different. And instantly we looked a lot more dangerous going forward, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing with Iwobi, he had some really bright moments. As I said earlier on, a fantastic recovery tackle on Jack, where he influenced the game, but I thought he had very little influence in the game and zero end product, though he's got an assist out of it somehow. I mean, that's a bit of a joke, but there you go. But to be fair to him, he wasn't poor. I think it was more of a tactical switch rather than anything else. Okay, I've got 182 of you watching and 62 likes. We do this every week, people. We do this every week, so I'm not going to disappoint you. Get on that like button. Stop messing about. Let's deliver. You talk about the Arsenal not delivering. You're not delivering. Hit the like button. Get on with it. Chop, chop. Let's rock. Go. Now. Quick. Do it. I want 100, please. Let's go. Thank you. John, and out of it has a chance. You have the fabulous Fabianski save from Mustafi. Lacazette gets a shot saved, and as does Xhaka by Fabianski, which just shows how many saves he made today. And then there's the out of a chance. Guendouzi gives the ball away really cheaply, and they just break, don't they? They just bang, go. They break.
Yeah, they, I think when they went in at halftime, it was quite clear that, Pellegrini's message was just keep exploiting that space in behind, just keep doing it and try and pounce on any mistake they make. And Arnautovic, again, was just causing so many problems. Guendouzi had a very mixed game today. I thought he was, again, he's trying to be positive, trying to get things on the ball, trying to make things happen. Today felt a little bit below par compared to his first two games. I think in those first two games, he still made mistakes. But today, there were a little bit more evidence. His passing was a bit more wayward today than it had been previously. Some of his decision-making when he was, going to make tackles. He made some very good tackles, but then he also, go sliding in for a tackle, mistime it, then be out of position, caught up the pitch, and West Ham could break on us. Again, that chance isn't all down to him. It's just kind of a breakdown of the system, and the defence itself was still not playing great. But he's got to be more aware in those situations that sometimes you've just got to be sensible with the ball. I love the fact that he's really positive with it and always tries to push and play forwards and tries to find that cutting pass. That's great. I absolutely love that because he definitely can do it. He's done it a couple of times, particularly in the Chelsea game. But sometimes you just got to be sensible and just go, you know what, I'll just give it 5 yards. We'll readdress. Everyone will move a little bit. We'll find that space there. I would say the best thing that came out of that chance is the fact that Arnautovic got clattered and went off injured because he was causing. Because let's be honest, Arsenal fans don't like him that much anyway because of what happened with him and Debussy when he was at Stoke. Yeah. But he was causing serious problems today.
Oh, he's a serious scumbag. But
I can't stand that guy.
I hate him. Okay, but would I like him on my team? Yeah, I would.
No.
I think he's got great talent. If he could cut the nonsense out of his game, okay, his talent is grade A. He's a really good footballer. Saw him play for Austria against Wales. He's a handful, okay, and he takes on defenders. They can't handle him, but he's a scumbag. So fuck him. The chat box is hilarious. Fair play. It's absolutely brilliant. The chat box is brilliant today. Joe's listening on iTunes or whatever. If you want to be involved in the chat box, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Click on the bell, and you'll be notified whenever we go live. So do that, guys, and you're in on the chat box, and you can have fun with these guys because they seriously are brilliant. Some of the humor in there is fantastic. There are some mad, absolutely bonkers opinions, and there's some really good ones, but we love it all. But I've only got 87 likes. Get on with it. I want 100 now. Come on, tap. Let's go. budget Ibrahimovic. You're correct, Swiss Gunner. Let's go straight. Well, actually, Cech spilt a Sanchez shot. Dom, were you a bit worried at that point?
What minute was that?
I have no idea, mate. You're
talking because I know later in the game things started to get really. I don't know. It just all started to fall apart back there even more. I just started to just not want to watch and just to turn away. And yeah, like for the most part though, like you said earlier, Cech has been shot stopping wise pretty good. I think he could have gotten down a little lower for the goal that we did concede, but for the rest of the game, his positioning and his experience on when to come out, when to stay big, when to get low, all of those things, I think he kind of got all of those decisions right over the last couple of weeks. And yeah, I think I can forgive the guy for a little slip.
Yeah, it didn't cost us a goal, did it? At this point, Torreira had come on for Guendouzi, which I think was the right decision. Guendouzi's played well up to now. Tough time today. But then, John, we take the lead. And I'm not giving it to Diop. It's all about Lacazette. Go.
Yeah, it was just good, good pressing, keeping the ball alive. I think it's Diop who actually attempts a clearance at first and just sort of it goes near enough. Yeah, near enough goes straight up in the air. I think he would have been better off just letting it out for it might have been a corner. I'm not really sure, but yeah, just goes straight up on the edge of the box. I think Nacho or Xhaka maybe wins the header, just knocks it back in, and Lacazette shows great.
Sorry. God. Somebody said it wrong. Nacho man. Sorry, I had to do it.
Oh, that's good. He, and Lacazette just shows really good strength. Just lets the ball come down, brings it down in the box. It makes it very, very difficult for the defender. Bouncing ball, and the forward's got position on you. It's so awkward to deal with. Just good body position, good strength, and then he can't do a whole lot with it, so he does the right thing. He just fires it across the box as hard as he can. He knows Aubameyang's there. He knows that probably Mkhitaryan will be at the far post or whatever. Maybe get a lucky deflection. Maybe Aubameyang can control it and put it in. I thought it's very, very good forwards play. Really, really smart forwards play, and it's the best way to do that kind of thing. Yeah, all right, it comes off Diop, but I'll be honest. At first, I think I sent Dom a message. Actually, I was like, "Did Lacazette just kick that so hard it came off Aubameyang?" He literally was like yeah. I mean, I actually thought he'd intentionally booted the ball hard enough, so he was like, "My mate's struggling a little bit. He's not having the best game. I'll give him a goal. I won't score myself. I'll just kick the ball off of him and make sure it goes in." It's because sometimes when you see Lacazette play and the way he shoots and everything, and the way he spins players, he looks like one of the guys who just knows every angle. He's got that kind of Ian Wright thing about him, about being in a box and knowing where everything is. That kind of instant memory.
He had a shot on his left foot that he brought down really well and turned perfectly, and again forced a really good save out of Fabianski just before that too, didn't he?
Yeah. And Aubameyang has struggled a little bit in the first couple of games. I think the first two games, he had the terrible miss, but you're playing against City where he's not really going to see the ball hardly ever. You're then playing against Chelsea. Yeah, okay, he did a little bit better in that one, but I just think Lacazette seems to bring, I don't know, that kind of swagger and a little bit more arrogance out of Aubameyang that he seems to need to have when he's playing. He always plays with a smile, but his head's down a little bit sometimes when he's on the pitch on his own. And I think Lacazette is better at the pressing than perhaps Aubameyang is. He leads the line a bit better. He can hold the ball up better. His link-up play is very good. And he's a nuisance for defenders. He's a different kind of nuisance, But yeah, I just thought that's really, really good, smart forward play. So I absolutely love that.
If you rewind 4 or 5 seasons ago and you put Arsenal shirts on those West Ham players, that's the exact kind of crappy defending that we would pull off to end up.
Yeah, I mean the terrible. You look at
ball bounces in the box 4 times, comes off someone's ass and goes in for an own goal. That's us all over.
Yeah, But that's good perseverance from the team. That's good pressing. They're trying to win the ball high at the pitch. They're looking for mistakes, trying to pounce on them, and they did that. That's one of those examples of where it doesn't look pretty and everything else, but that's part of the system working properly because everyone's in the right position and then they're all pushing. And at that point, it was just constant. We were hammering West Ham. It just looked like, oh, another one's definitely coming, because we were pushing them so many times and they just couldn't keep the ball. We kept turning it over and they just couldn't hold it anymore, with especially with Arnautovic off the pitch. Like Chicharito was just not in the game at all.
R.A., you're gone. Ta-da. Oh, I love these people. Okay, so after that, we had a little bit of a row on the park, boys. Hector and Xhaka. Hector not going. Xhaka passing when he's flat-footed, and then they have a little bit of a tiff. Handbags everywhere. I quite enjoyed watching that. What did you think, Dom?
I don't mind seeing a little bit of that. It shows that they care. It shows that they actually want to get better. There's a desire. There's feedback coming. The amount of times that we've criticised the team for not being passionate or not showing that kind of thing. It's nice to see it. I don't think it's an issue at all. I think having that kind of open and honest feedback, even if it is out on the pitch and everyone's watching, I think it can only be a benefit to the team.
Yeah, I got to be honest, these things are going to happen. We keep on talking about new tactical setup, new way of playing, new things wanted from a new manager. And you are going to get points in the game where people misunderstand what's happening. And it's good to see them, care. It's good to see it, I don't think any of us have ever played in a team where you don't have an argument with somebody. It's nice to see on the pitch. So good for them. Then we had Welb's the man came on for Aubameyang. There's a question about him later, but I was kind of happy to see that. John?
Yeah, I think, at that point it's 2-1. We're causing problems anyway. The game's become a little bit stretched. West Ham's midfield, like Jack was struggling at that point for West Ham. I thought Carlos Sanchez actually had a decent game for them, but they're sort of their forward players, because Arnautovic has gone off. They've got no one to stick the ball to anymore, and Chicharito can't get it. And unless they get those perfect passes off, which we were starting to cut out very well then, I thought Torreira came on and did a really good job. Xhaka was cutting out passes and making good tackles as well. There was a lot of space to get in and drive at their defence. And you know what Welbeck's going to give you. It's not all talent. It's not all skill and technique. It's hard work. It's running. He will cover defensively and he will run all day. And he's quick and he's very physical. And I love all that kind of thing, that side of his game. He's not he's not Mkhitaryan. He's not a Lacazette, nice and neat and tidy and everything else. He's a bit of a Mikel Antonio, like in a sense, for what West Ham have got.
He can cause chaos, though, can't he? Just having him out there with his pace and his physical attributes, he can really just unsettle a defense. Just having him run around.
And I like everything that he does in terms of his commitment, and he is, he's exactly the sort of player that I could see Emery going, oh, I know he's only got a year left on his contract, but can we keep him because he will do everything I tell him, Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. He may not be the flashiest or most exciting player in the world, but he will do absolutely everything the manager will tell him. It's the reason why Ferguson liked him at United. He's that kind of player. He's never going to be a 10 out of 10, but I just love his work rate and his effort. I think it's fantastic.
I think there's always a place for, I hate to use the term water carrier. Okay, I don't like using that, but there's always a place for a functional player in any good squad.
And I think he's, you can play him either side of the striker, and you can play him through the middle. Right? That's the thing as well. The fact he's an option in all three of those front positions. If you're saying 4-3-3, I think is a nice option to have.
Yeah, absolutely. And to go on to Welbeck, Dom. Valbuena clearly pulls him down in the box. He may have made the most of it. I'm not saying he didn't, but Valbuena clearly has hands all over him. in front of the referee, no penalty. How?
I think we saw the Mustafi one last week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was just as obvious and just as, clear cut and just in the same position right in front of the referee. And I said it last week on the show that last season, especially early in the season, it seemed like the referees had a little bit of an agenda of stopping that, stopping the dark arts in the box with set pieces and things, and defenders holding attackers and, basically just wrestling them and getting away with it. And they were hot on it. They were really hot on it. And I've seen it in other sports as well, when referees kind of get a nod to really target, to stamp something out. And then they seem to kind of just go away from it again, and it's crept back in. Because both of those incidences, for me, if we're going by what we saw last season, they were hot on that. They were penalties all day. So, yeah, that's the interpretation part of refereeing that frustrates us so much, isn't it?
It's the one bit where I was very disappointed the referee. I thought that's stone cold, He's looking at it. You can see on the TV angle, he's looking at it, and he just ignores it. And I thought that was awful, but hey-ho, it didn't affect the results. We see Fabianski make another great save from Ramsey. Lucas Perez misses a sitter. And then a guy who I've given a lot of stick to, he does something absolutely wonderful. Socrates just takes a yellow card for the team. He stops the taking of a quick free kick. And, absolutely cynical, absolutely terrible. I'd be screaming if it was West Ham doing it to us. But, John, I thought that was a wonderful moment from our Greek friend.
Oh, I loved it. That is years of experience. Just being completely aware of, oh, crap, I'm in West Ham's half. There is no way I'm getting 60 yards back if they pass the ball. It's going quicker than me, and I can't catch these players as it is anyway. I'm going to make sure the foul is as blatant as possible. I'm going to stand on the ball. And then when the referee starts telling me to pull away, I'm going to pick the ball up and walk away with it. I know I'm getting the yellow card. I will argue, and that's the sort of thing you need.
We've been asking for that for how long now?
Oh, yeah. And, I love it when you see players, when they already had the argument with the ref, and then they tell the ref that he's doing a bad job, and they keep the argument going on because it means they can walk back 20 yards as they're doing it and take the ball with them. And the referee is too stupid to realise that actually all he's doing is just taking the ball 20 yards away, and he's getting himself back in position. Then he's giving the ball back and he's like, all right, ref, now I'll get booked. Fine. It just that is, being a 30-year-old and being an experienced defender. It's the sort of thing you would like to see, Mustafi do more, Monreal. I think Xhaka did one as well. He gave a pretty cynical foul in West Ham's half because he was quite high up the pitch and it looked like they were going to break, but you need that more often. And yeah, absolutely love that. I'm sure that Emery, in the changing room said, told him well done for taking that yellow, because he was so high up. That's like old school Tony Adams, if you're in the opponent's half and they've got the ball, just kick the player nearest to you and make sure you fall on the ball or something, Yeah.
I got to be honest, I love the way, he picks the ball up afterwards. You're not having it. Having it. I'm taking the yellow. I just thought that was, we all know my thoughts on the man, but I thought that was a little bit of brilliance. We're 2-1 up. We don't want to give away a cheap goal. Yeah. That's as good as a great block in the box, that is. We see more Coco the Clown defending from us. And then, honest to God, I'm not sure which one I'll call Chuckles, but, any one of the back four or midfielders at times, we just at times it really just grate on me. But there you go. But then, Dom, Welbeck, the hero, and Hector with a fabulous little ball into the box as well.
Yeah, again, Hector getting down that right side and creating that width that I think has if you go back and look at all of our attacking plays over the last 3 games, I think he's going to be probably in most of the clips at some point, if he's not the last player passing the ball in, which is what he was doing today. And Welbeck was very calm, wasn't he? I almost thought, oh, here we go, he's going to somehow find a way to muff this. But yeah, he took a really nice little touch, took his time, picked his spot, calmly put it away on his left foot, gave the crowd a nod, and that was it. 3 points.
Yeah, after that, there was only a Mustafi block, and the game was done, basically. Not the most entertaining game, lads. Let's be fair. Let's be fair.
Well, coming back on that, Jace, how many times have we...
It was.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you're a neutral, you would have just been thinking, like, here we go. It's just typical Premier League with no defend. But how many times have we been saying that over the last couple of seasons anyway, where it's like, look, we need to win ugly, because you go the Chelsea game and we go 2 goals down and we manage to get ourselves back into it, which, to be honest, to me is a little surprising. That's not the Arsenal that I know. And again, go a goal down today and we get ourselves back into it quickly. And that part of it, I think, has been very positive for me personally to see. But again, today, I wasn't expecting some kind of, swashbuckling, free-flowing, amazingly, high-intensity attacking football with wave after wave of attacking move. That's not going to happen for some time. And I think we all need to understand that. And that's what, going back to, asking you guys earlier in the show, how long is reasonable to give this team and this manager before we start to expect not just 5 to 10 minutes of that play, but 60 to 70 to 80 minutes every single game. And that's going to be the big question, because I'm fine playing like that and getting the ugly win as we're starting to learn what we're doing. But you don't really want to be seeing that 6-8 months from now is where my head's at. I mean, if you go to Manchester United, for example, they all thought that Mourinho's first season was just going to be he's just transitioning and he's just getting these players sorted. And then you look at what they're doing now and they still stink. They still play negative, boring, crappy football, and nothing's really changed. Nothing's advanced. Nothing's gotten more technical or improved. And I genuinely think that Emery is a very, very different type of manager, that we're going to have a few of these performances against these types of teams, which are going to be frustrating and ugly to watch. But hopefully, fingers crossed, maybe second half of the season after Christmas, we'll see more good than bad. That's what I'm predicting anyway. What about you, John?
I mean, yeah, I'd expect it to get better as the season goes on, but there will definitely be blips along the way. There will be the odd game here and there where you just think, what on earth is going on? Are they not teaching them anything in training or whatever? But I hope and I expect it to progress game by game. And you also have to take into account the opponent, what squad you're picking, the former players, and all that kind of thing at the same time. So it's a lot to throw in. I don't think you're ever going to see the perfect Emery performance realistically this season. It won't be until next year when he's had a January window and another summer window, and then more time with the squad. But it should, in theory, get better as the season goes on. At the moment, it's just about winning games, I think, and getting slowly improvements as you go. You're not going to get a perfect performance.
Look, if our fluency in the way we pass the ball doesn't improve the next 8 games, we're going to have problems. This is a run of games where, the way we play out at the back and the time to chip the ball and to play it long, we need to make better decisions in that respect. Our passing wasn't great today. Ramsey left Nacho short a number of times. It's the... what's his name? Cruyff. The Cruyff mentality at Barca was, you play the ball in front of the man for him to run onto it. That's what your mantra's got to be. I think this is a really interesting challenge for Emery. Okay, when you look at where he's been before, there's not as much expectation at Sevilla, at Valencia, etc., as there is at the Arsenal. Okay, going to PSG, well, you're outspending everybody else. Even though Monaco won the league, and that is his first season there? Was it his second season?
I think it was his first they won.
Yeah, that was a fabulous Monaco side. But this is a different challenge for him. Whereas, when the arrival of Neymar at PSG, he kind of knew he was losing that battle with Neymar and the owners and what he wanted to do. He's got carte blanche here. He's got to instill his mentality, his methods, and his will on the team to make them perform in the way that they want him to. But I expect to see a more fluent performances from us in the upcoming games. Okay, there must be improvement in these games because I don't think you're going to get it around that Christmas period. There's just too much intensity around there. There's too many games roll up. He'll have to use the whole of his squad when Europa League kicks in and when the cup games kick in. So this has to, flow through the squad in the next 7 to 8 games. It's got to do it. Otherwise, we could have a really tough season. So, that's the expectation. Do I expect miracles? No. But improvement in performance is a must. So, let's hope it happens. Let's go to some questions, shall we, guys?
Sure.
Yep.
Whoa, here we go. You first, Dom. You first. David Keith asks, "Hi lads, who would you play in the forward three, or should we change it around depending on the opposition?"
Oh man, I was just thinking this earlier about, I don't think Emery knows his best 11 yet. I think he's still trying to figure that out.
Does he know his best setup yet?
Probably not, and that's going to come. Is he going to stick with a front three? Is he going to, maybe go to a 2 and realize that maybe Aubameyang and Lacazette need to play together, and maybe that works better in a front 2 than a front 3? I just don't think he knows who his best options are. We've seen Iwobi do some good things and also have some patchy play there. And Mkhitaryan hasn't really done a whole lot for me so far this season. Although, again, he comes with a very, a pretty impressive resume and a big body of work that we know that there's something there. And maybe he's just trying to find his best position or system to get the best out of him as well. But the best front three, I still think, I really like when Lacazette's on the pitch. For me, I think if there is a way to get both of them playing together, I think that we should work towards that. And then I think, your Iwobis, your Mkhitaryan's, your Welbecks, these guys, they can sort of take a back seat to that almost. That would be my priority, I think.
Yeah.
Just from what I've seen so far. I just think that we saw it today. Lacazette came on, and between those two, it's almost like they make each other better, They really do complement each other well.
I think there's a chemistry there, but I think it's important for Emery to sort out, right, what's his number one option or a tactical setup, and then where's his go-to, plan B. But, that's for him to work out. But I do like there's a bit of chemistry there. I think what Lacazette has over Aubameyang is the way he brings other players into play. I don't think Aubameyang's at that place yet in this team where, unless he's coming in off the left, he's able to bring players in from centre forward position. So I think that must be something he's going to have to look at. John, stop. Oh, whoa. Sorry, guys. J-Rob. What have you gone and done? Sorry, I'm way behind on YouTube now because I've been in Google Hangouts, so I do apologise. J-Rob, thank you ever so much. J-Rob's donated a £5 to us. Oh, he's a good man. Really appreciate that, J-Rob. You're an absolute rock star. And now this show is dedicated to you. So thank you ever so much. I'll tell you what, okay? See, we got the best listeners. I got 100 plus likes. I'd like 120 now, so get on it. But, J-Rob, you're an absolute rock star. You guys never cease to amaze us. And thank you ever so much. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Right. Thanks for that, John, because I would have missed that. John, question for you. Jeffrey O'Hara asks, what do you make of the supposed training ground bust-up between Emery and Ozil? Is it BS? Is it legit? Illness was the official reason he wasn't included in the squad today.
Apparently Emery was asked this in his press conference after the game. He said it's all nonsense. He doesn't know where the stories come from. He said he was ill. That's why he wasn't picked. If he was available and he could have trained, then he would have been in the squad. I don't know. Under Arsene, the last 2 years, Ozil was ill a lot, apparently. And I think some people thought, yes, he was genuinely ill. Some people thought maybe he's being, kept in cotton wool when he was Arsenal's favourite. And there was kind of hints to that anyway from some of the other players in interviews and stuff, that maybe he got more time off than perhaps he should have during the season. I would say for now, I think you just have to take the club's word for it and Emery's word for it and say, look, he's just ill. If he's got an underlying health issue, then maybe the club would be better off saying. I don't know. He had the back issues and stuff. Now, if it's that again, and I was the club, then what I would say is, look, he's still got problems with his back. Maybe he needs to have surgery or whatever. Just say he's going to be out for 2-3 months. He's got to have this surgery because otherwise it's just going to be a reoccurring problem. And there's no point having him on the books if you're just going to keep losing him every couple of weeks. If it's just the illness, it happens. People get ill. I think at the moment I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Ozil, I've been harsh on him in the past. But I think just with the new management, Emery doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who'd let him, have some time off if he needed it. You know what I mean?
The thing with the Ozil situation right now is if we were being really cynical and we were doing this for, personal reasons or, to line our own pockets, we would be doing what the media is doing and we would be jumping all over this. We would be slamming Ozil, we would be stirring the pot because it generates hits and clicks. We've said it before that, because we're a reactionary show, it provokes emotion and it would be smart of us to jump on this and stir it up. But I genuinely just think that that's just the media. That's what the English media does. They've seen an opportunity here and gone, well, he's not playing. Let's create some more friction. He's a hot topic right now. The amount of coverage that the guys had in the media through Germany, through other areas, it's not a surprise to me that the stories out there that they've had a bust up and then all of a sudden, someone in Germany is going to get asked their opinion of Ozil not playing. Apparently there was a bust up and, it just goes on and on and on. And the reality is probably that he's just sick.
I think, look, if he is ill again, I don't know how many times he's been ill since he's been at the club, okay? But the club must be looking at this, okay? If it's a genuine illness, there's nothing you can do about it. You can't have a player at 50% on the park. You just can't in the Premier League. They get ripped apart. We have to look at it. But as far as whether it's a bust up or not, I couldn't give a monkeys. If they have had a bust up, great. I don't really care. But, the bust ups on a training ground environment are a good thing if they clear the air and we can be constructive after it. Okay,
Jace, I saw someone in the chat box earlier saying Ramsey had a meeting with Emery and they're disagreeing over something and you just, where does this come from? There was a journalist in the room watching them have this meeting, was there? Like some of the crap that just gets thrown around because it's so easy to generate attention from just making stuff up and you don't have to be accountable to it. You just don't. You can just say whatever you want and then it's just out.
I think the thing to come out of it is what's mostly likely happened is they're on the training ground, maybe some journalists or someone found out that they had an argument, which probably happens every single day with all different players all the time. It just so happened that it coincided with Ozil being ill. The two aren't related. It's just he's ill, and that's it. Maybe he does have like a genuine immune system problem. I don't know because
if there is anything, the chat box has touched on this, and this is a really sensitive subject, and the whole mental illness thing is very serious, and I personally take it very seriously, and not something to be joked about at all. That guy is a human being, and we all forget that. And I don't want to, do the old casual flex, but I've worked with very high level athletes before. And it's something that you always are aware of is the way that they talk, the way that they think, the things that affect them. And I don't know that many athletes in world sport at the moment that have been put under the pump as much as Mesut Ozil has recently, where his own teammates in Germany have come out on the basically just launched into him. His home country is not really all that happy with the guy. Like, can you imagine how that must feel? It would not surprise me if he does have some kind of, whatever it is. issue with dealing with that kind of stuff, because that would not be an easy thing to deal with. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, but let's be honest, Tom, okay? You know, we're a reaction show to the game, okay? We offer comment and our own little analysis on it. You can criticize Mesut Ozil for a poor performance, okay?
Yes.
Going after him personally, you know, you see it with all sorts of things, you know. If you look at what you've said about the press in this country, you will see people repeat stuff if it suits their agenda on their favoured players, etc., etc., etc. The good things about those players are ignored, and the negative copy is then repeated, okay? If you want to be somebody who's just going after a guy because he's not your favourite player, fine. Be that person. But it's a little bit pathetic, okay? I don't like Socrates. I don't, okay? But you give an honest evaluation of the performance, the good, the bad, the ugly, right? But when it comes to mental health issues and things like that, stop and think. Stop and think. You know, everybody can share a post on social media. Oh, I've done my little bit. But the truth about it is, okay, you can't walk in another man's shoes. You don't know what's going through their mind. The club have to deal with each player individually as human beings, and they will do so for the best interest of the club and the player. But let's not harangue people for nothing. You know what I mean? Let's not harangue people because it suits an agenda.
Well, that's the thing. People are being really critical of the guy, and he didn't even play today. And you're exactly right. Our job should be sitting here discussing the players that did play, which is a beautiful segue, because I do want to get on to Aaron Ramsey playing that number 10 role.
Bear with me a second. Before we go there, because I'm going to come back to you now with the next question. It's going to segue into that. But I have a question from Twitter from 24/7 Music Base. Did anyone have Welbs down to score today? No, nobody did. Nobody in the whole wide world had Welbs down to score today. And look at the boy come up trumps.
Danny Welbeck had himself down to score today, I tell you that.
God save Danny Welbeck. He's fantastic. But, Dom, back to you. Thomas from Norway asks, is Aaron Ramsey past his prime? Go.
No, Aaron Ramsey's coming into his prime, but he's not going to be coming into his prime as a number 10. And that's what I wanted to kind of bring up a little bit with the Ozil thing. And Thomas from Norway, it's why he didn't play that is the issue, Dom. That's not our issue. That's the club's issue, and that's Mesut's issue. Our only concern should be whether he plays well or not, because that's what I'm talking about with touching on this mental illness thing. You start attacking somebody outside of what it is that they're supposed to be doing, you're asking for trouble. So I don't want to see Aaron Ramsey playing the number 10.
Hold up there. There's the great one. Oh, but he plays 10 for Wales. No. You've never watched Wales play. No.
Look,
he does.
Aaron Ramsey does a lot of great things, but I don't think he does them in the number 10 role. And he's been playing in that advanced position because I think Emery's very, very kind of set in having two midfielders that are sitting. He definitely has that 4-2 situation going on, which I've seen Aaron Ramsey play that with Arteta very well before, and I've seen when Ramsey's played his best football and he's doing all these great things, it's from that midfield pushing forward, not from being high up the pitch trying to be the creative one. So again, you know, going back to Ozil, if we have the ball in that area of the pitch, and I was to ask you which one of our players would you want to be picking those passes and trying to unlock a defense? Anyone in the squad, who would you pick?
From what position? Sorry.
From that number 10 role. If anyone,
Mesut Ozil.
Exactly. So from all the criticism that he gets, he's the number one player that we want in that position, playing those passes, because we know just how destructive he can be in that position. I personally don't think Aaron Ramsey holds a candle to Mesut Ozil in that role. And that comes back to it. If Emery's going to somehow try to turn Ramsey into a number 10 or ask him to play that, and that's going to be something that he's expected to do going forward, I'm Ramsey's biggest fan, But I would tell him, look, we're going to sell you. If he genuinely doesn't see Ramsey playing in the central midfield and he's going to try to shoehorn him into this attacking position and he's going to shove Mesut Ozil out wide to accommodate that, I'm not up for that. I don't know about you two.
I'd question Emery's football knowledge if that's what he wants to do.
I don't think he was
recently.
playing Ramsey at 10 today anyway.
No, he wasn't. It was a more advanced midfield role. It was.
Yeah, I think it was 4-3-3, and him and Guendouzi were basically allowed to get forward when they could. And you saw all the good bits from Ramsey's game today. You saw the breaking into the box and getting on the end of things. And Jason said about the great chance he had, and Fredericks got across and covered brilliantly and put in an amazing tackle. But yeah, it wasn't coming off for him today. But he was still making those runs and doing that burst. But I think if you saw him playing as a dedicated number 10, that is not his game at all. That's not what he's about.
His game is pass and move.
Yeah.
Okay? It's pass and move, right? I remember him getting destroyed for the flicks and tricks and what have you. Yeah, people don't mourn when they come off, and he expects play. You watch when Ozil plays well, normally Ramsey's playing well, and they get into that game together. Some of the good form he showed last season, or before we sold Giroud, you had Giroud linking with Mesut and Ramsey. But Ramsey's always coming from deep. He's not a 10. He never has played 10 for Wales. He just wears 10 in his back. Okay? But, you look at the interplay between players. That's what's not right in the team yet.
100% agree, Jace. That was the other point I wanted to make, is that some of these basic passes from very good players, Mkhitaryan, Ramsey, Guendouzi, Xhaka, the little touch and go passes that we've come to expect happen just magically under Arsene Wenger, because they did. That was a part of Arsene Wenger's football that you can't really criticize too much, is that little triangle pass and move type play that just used to be effortless. It seems very kind of hard work right now, and it seems like it's not quite coming off. And that'll be interesting to see how that develops over the next few weeks, because if some of these really simple passes come off and these movements don't get broken down so quickly from really silly mistakes, and we're forcing the defenders of the opposition to actually do something and produce a good bit of play to stop us, that's when things are going to start getting interesting. Because I feel like we've made it very easy so far for the opposition to turn the ball over from us. They're not really having to put us under much pressure, and we're just misplacing a silly pass somewhere, or the ball gets cut out because we're just playing it from the wrong position, or really basic schoolboy stuff.
Agreed. And the thing is, this is what I talk about when I talk about the fluency of the team, okay? The great pieces of play don't just happen. No, I don't care if you put all the greatest players on the pitch together, okay? In the world, you put them on the pitch together, it takes time to gel. And it takes time to gel under a new manager. And that's the bottom. That's where we are at the moment. We're not at a place where it's going to be easy for Mustafi and Socrates to form a really good, strong partnership at the back yet, because it's early days. And the whole team is struggling with this at this moment in time. You're going through the teething process. But we need to see improvement in the next 7 or 8 games. And it will happen. It will happen. Let's move on. I'm sorry. John's just putting more questions in the box, so I'll lose my place. Pete Colson, I think we've addressed your question. So I'm going to move on from that. John, Paul Alvis asks, do you think Lacazette should start ahead of Aubameyang?
At the moment, yeah, I would. I would agree with Dom, though, that I would like to see both of them on the pitch together. But at the moment, if you only get to pick one, I would play Lacazette through the middle. I just think he understands the system a bit better, and I think he presses better from the front. He can run in behind, he will run the channels like Aubameyang will, but he also can hold the ball up and play with his back to goal, which Aubameyang I don't think is as capable of doing.
He's more effective at bringing other players into play, isn't he?
Yeah,
I think that's his really strong point.
Yeah.
I'll take this one. Matt Roberts asks, does Welbeck have a chance to change Emery's idea about if he is needed? Also, thoughts on Eddie. Thoughts on Eddie. Eddie's just, he'll play cup games and he'll have a chance to impress. So he'll take care of himself. I think the boy's got enough talent. As far as Welbeck's concerned, yes, I do think he's got a great chance. I think, he's going to be that guy who can come on and close the game with his hard work. He's finished a really, really, really good chance today. But we saw Mkhitaryan and Aubameyang miss those chances last week, whereas he's put his away. So I think everybody in the squad is going to be given an opportunity, whether it be pitch time or whether it be on the training pitch. It's up to these guys. It's up to the Aaron Ramseys. It's up to the Mesut Ozils. It's up to them all to make their mark and earn their place. But I think they'll all be given a fair chance. Dom, Unique 79 asks, this season will be an analysis for Unai Emery. Do not be... he states, actually, I just want your thoughts on this, sorry. This season will be an analysis for Unai Emery. Do not be surprised if a few players get sold in January and next summer. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's probably a pretty fair statement. And if you were to ask Emery right now, which of those players will be moving on, I think the answer will be, I don't know yet. We'll have to wait and see. Again, we go and make these comparisons with Pep mainly because it's a reminder that this stuff doesn't happen instantly. You're talking about arguably the best manager going at the moment with an unlimited budget. Took him time, took him a few transfer windows to get some in and out. And I feel like it's going to be no different. Maybe we'll be surprised, and some of the players that we're criticising heavily now turn out to be players that we're screaming can't get missed off the team sheet, and there might be some of our favourites that just don't work out, and it's going to be interesting. And that's part of what I'm enjoying at the moment with the team, is as much as the performance today was average at best, we got the 3 points, and there is a lot to look forward to, and hopefully those things develop in a positive way, and that a lot of the players that we're thinking maybe do need to go, maybe they turn out to be great. Who knows? But I think realistically, yeah, there's going to be a few surprises. There's going to be a few shocks both ways. And I think January, I don't think our budget's anything that we're going to be going out spending big in January. I think it's probably going to be more outgoings, trimming the squad a little bit, getting ready for the summer transfer window potentially.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the squad develops. You know what I mean? But time will tell. Time will tell. John, K-Man 1867 asks, should we be selling Ramsey or risk him walking on a free?
Oh God, it's very difficult. So we've got 6 days left of the transfer window for everyone other than Premier League and Italian clubs, I think, to buy, and maybe there's like a couple of weeks more for Russia. But if an offer comes in from a Spanish club or a German club and it's big enough, and the club really don't think he's going to sign, then yeah, sell him. I love Ramsey. I want to keep him. I want him to sign a new deal. I want him to stay at the club. I think he's a very, very good player.
We can't afford for him to go on a free. We had Jack Wilshere leave on a free, and that kind of slipped under the radar too. Yeah. This English premium that everyone talks about, and we let him sneak out for nothing.
But you only get an English premium from English clubs.
Most likely, yes, you do only get that. So if you're not going to sell him to a Premier League club, then yes, I'd rather sell him abroad. And if you don't do it now, between now and the end of and the transfer window closing for the other leagues, then you get to January and he's free to talk to those clubs. And does he really have a reason to then sign from then? And the clubs then to pay, us however much money, whereas he could just go, right, I'll sign a pre-contract agreement with you, and then I'll come sign for you in the summer and get a nice signing on fee. I don't blame Ramsey. If I was in his position, I would do exactly the same thing. I would say, yeah, I'll think about your offer, delay. Wait until January, see what's going on with the club, where everything's heading and what the contract offer is then, see what European clubs are interested in me. But from Arsenal's point of view, they should have had this sorted out one way or the other. I don't want him to go. That's my position on it. But if you can't get him to stay, you have to sell him and try and recoup whatever money you can.
Yeah. Oh, look, let's be honest. The time for selling Aaron Ramsey's long gone. He's made his decision whether he's staying or going. It's up to him and the club to sort it out. But, they're either going to sort it out and he's going to resign, or he's walking on a free next summer. It's as simple as that. There's, you know, I don't, you know, because for argument's sake, if he doesn't want to go, you can't sell him. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
So I think that's done.
The chances of him, sorry, just quick, Jace, the chances of him moving in January, the only way that goes up is if we suddenly decide we need to cash in to a Premier League club and they are like short of a particular type of midfielder or have had a load of injuries. It's the only way I can see it happening. And that's, I don't want that to happen, obviously.
Yeah, look, it's, you know, it is what it is, isn't it? Dom, FlyKJ asks, question for a resident physiotherapist. Will Koscielny have a stronger Achilles tendon after his operation, or will it be weaker now and thus make him struggle? When you watch him walk, he waddles.
I think that's just his gait. He's always waddled when it comes to how he walks. But in terms of if his Achilles will be stronger, no. There's going to be scar tissue build up there that creates a weakness, if anything. It creates a risk. The thing with Koscielny's Achilles was that he had such bad inflammation and tendonitis that he was battling for so long that the amount of pain the guy would have been playing in the first place would have just been phenomenal, that he was pushing through that, to be honest. And he probably knew in the back of his head it was only a matter of time before one of them was going to go pop. I think if you want to look for a silver lining in the injury, it's that the only way that you recover from that really horrific inflammation and tendonitis is to stop. And I said that at the time. I said that he needs 3-4 months off of football, away from football, not training, not putting, you know, impact and pressure through flexion extension through that area. And he wasn't going to get it because he had a World Cup after the season, which obviously, sadly, he didn't make. But then when he would have been in and out all season anyway, because that issue doesn't go away. So I guess the blessing in disguise, in a way, is that maybe he'll actually be able to come back without the inflammation. Yes, there's the risk of the re-injury, but at least he's not having to try and recover and play through that immense pain all the time and then miss games here and there and have to nurse the guy. Maybe he'll be able to play a little bit more consistently when he does come back. And by all reports, it sounds like he's coming back a little earlier than expected, which is fantastic for someone of his age. Generally, you would, you know, the news that you would get would be it's a delay. So the fact that it's, you know, it sounds like it's at least 4.5, 5 weeks ahead of schedule. That's really positive. So he's not full training right now. What's that?
Maybe he's been to see a doctor in Barcelona.
Maybe he's got a little special something. I don't, you know, good for him, you know.
Okay.
But yeah, hopefully, if anyone sees the reports that he's out training right now, don't expect that he's a week or two away from playing, because what that means is that he's able to jog around. He'd be on light duties right now. So he's got a good 6-7 weeks probably up his sleeve of conditioning work before he's even going to be considered to get picked again. But even that, he's still very far ahead of schedule, which is great.
Okay. Hassan Ramzan asks, I'll answer this. Should Mavropanos or Holding get a chance since Socrates and Mustafi have had problems? I don't think so as of yet, to be honest with you. I think, you know, the whole team's having problems. You know, we're all settling into a new way of playing. I don't see what those two guys are going to bring to us, which is going to improve it. Mavropanos maybe with pace, but he's only got 3 games under his belt. So I think, you know, you've got to give these guys a fair crack of the whip. Mavropanos and Holding will get their chance as we go along. But as of yet, there are team issues rather than personnel issues as well, you know. When we've got that little pace at the back, why are we playing such a high line? Things like that have to be taken into account. Liam asks John, it seems if we have too many midfielders and not out and not enough forward players on the pitch, Ramsey, Xhaka, Mickey, Iwobi, Louise, feel we need to get Laka and Auba on the pitch. Do you think that's going to happen?
I thought I'd see it today, I'll be honest. I thought that we would see the pair of them start just because we were at home. I think that's part of the reason why maybe Torreira didn't start either, because we're going to have a lot of the ball. We should be okay defensively, I say. But yeah, I think at some point it's going to happen during the season. I think the more and more Emery sees it, he'll come to realise that the two of them clearly play very well together and have a very good understanding. So hopefully that does happen. There's going to be games where you can't play both of them. It's just not. You're not going to be defensively solid enough. You're going to need the work rate of a Welbeck or Iwobi or whoever on one of the sides or something, or you're going to go 4-2-3-1 and not 4-3-3. Whether we see it at Cardiff, I don't know. I'd like to. I hope so. But I do agree. Yeah, we do. It does kind of having all these lovely, cool little flair players and stuff. They're not exactly all raring goal scorers, are they?
No. Last question from Payush Kapoor. As always, Payush, thank you for the like. To you, Dom, should we be concerned how 2 strikers have not scored in 3 games and have missed a lot of chances?
No. Sorry. I think that's part and parcel of that part of the pitch, isn't it? And especially going through a transitional stage like we are, they're probably making some fantastic runs and just not being found right now. Or, when they do get through, they're just not quite sharp enough to put them away. But like I said, both of those guys have got a good body of work behind them that suggests to me that there's nothing too much to be worried about. If you compare that to, let's say, someone like Morata, I would be concerned if he was, if he came to us opposed to Chelsea and he performed like he has so far, I'd probably have a different opinion, because I don't think he had the same body of work behind him coming into the Premier League to justify his big price tag and the big move. So for me, both of those guys, I still think Aubameyang's a A-grade, proper A-grade, top-tier, world-class striker. And I think Lacazette sits just under that. And you've got 2 of those guys in the squad. I can't see them going too long before they start finding the back of the net.
I absolutely agree. Right, to everybody in the chat box, thank you for your questions. Thank you for taking part. You're superb as always. Whether we agree or disagree, it doesn't really matter. You're absolutely fantastic. If you're listening on another platform and you want to join in the chat box, like the YouTube channel, click on the bell and you will be informed whenever we go live. To those of you listening via iTunes or whatever it is, as always, thanks for the support. Really appreciate it. We get blown away by you guys every single time. You're just fantastic. Next week, we currently have the podcast out. You've got Jeff Arsenal, Raj Patel, and Ellis Mell on there. It's a really good listen. It's really interesting. A lot of fun from the guys. Another podcast this week. I don't know who's on yet. And again, after the Cardiff game, we'll be going live straight afterwards. We'll yet to know the lineup of that either. But thank you for your support. You're absolutely brilliant. And John and Dom, seen a lot of each other recently, aren't we?
Probably too much.
It's the weirdest relationship I've ever had in my life, and I've had some weird ones. And for anyone, just quickly before we finish, if you're not watching live, it's worth just coming to the YouTube page to watch, just to check the video, even if you're an iTunes listener, because Dom has not shaved for 6 months now, and he's almost got some hair on his chin. It's amazing.
Yeah. I know. that five quid donation is going to go to a razor for me, just in case anyone was getting concerned.
Oh God, J Rob, don't worry, we're not using your money for razors, mate. Do not worry.
No, we are. Don't listen to Jace. That's exactly where it's going.
Right, remember, this is a Bergkamp Wonderland. It's content brought to you by Arsenal fans, just Arsenal fans, nobody else, no United fans, but just Arsenal fans, and we really appreciate you guys. So, John, switch this off. Thank you ever so much, guys. Take care. Have a good evening.